Hey, this is a special edition of the Play Skillfully podcast. Not only is it a special edition, it's going to be a reverse podcast, if you will, because today I am going to be the guest and not the host. So I am going to introduce you now to your host for this special edition, Ava Davis. Welcome to the Play Skillfully podcast as the host of the day.
Hi, I'm so excited to just celebrate you and your new book and just get to know more about Before Big. You have impacted me in so many ways. You're like a second mom to me always. So I'm just excited to hear more about this book and help other people learn more about it.
Thanks, Ava. So let's explain. Ava has been interning with me this summer. Any cool graphic that you have seen or fun reel, Ava has helped be a part of that. She is in college. She does happen to be my daughter Sarah's bestie of besties. So I have known Ava since she was 12. And not only have I known her since then, she has attended many a homeschool conference with me. So we would go to Florida to that homeschool conference, and it was always around Ava's birthday. So she would travel along with my kids when they were little. So maybe you've even met Ava if you're seeing her face and she looks familiar. So Ava, I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to turn into the guest now. You are the host, so take it away.
Perfect. Okay, let's just go ahead and start with some of my questions. First being just what was the personal catalyst for writing this book, and what do you think the quiet struggle you're seeing in the lives of many young parents today would be?
I love that. You know, this book has been on my heart for such a long time, Ava, because this age, 0 to 3, that's what Before Big is focusing on. It's a stressor, if I'm going to be honest. That's a hard time in the life of any parent. And then for parents who are thinking about homeschooling, it's kind of an empty zone in some ways where I feel like moms are struggling to connect with their babies. They're struggling to do it all. And they really would love some guidance on how do we do that? How do we make the most of these 3 years instead of seeing them as a dreadful time? So that's really why I wrote it.
It's great. And the title I love so much, Before Big, and especially your signature line, because big can wait. And I just wanted to know what that phrase means to you.
I actually got chills when you said it because it is just kind of want to rant about. I want to remind parents that big can wait. They have the rest of their lives to be big, but childhood is such a small time. It is fleeting in those early years where everyone gives you permission to explore and play and be loud and be a child. That is getting shorter and shorter in our culture. And so I want to remind parents that big can and should wait, and we should let our children be little and embrace those beautiful moments of childhood.
I love that. And it just gives so much creative freedom. I'm such a creative person. So that's how my lifestyle was shaped. And it doesn't put me in a box for sure. I feel like I'm able to still wonder. And I hope that for all kids, that they can never stop, I guess, being creative and wondering.
Yeah, and it's funny, kids are born curious. You were born
Mm-hmm.
curious. I didn't know you till
Mm-hmm.
middle school, but I have heard stories and I have seen it since then. But children are born curious, and some even
Yeah.
more than others. But it's often the adults who stifle that curiosity and stop that creativity. It doesn't fit into our agenda. So by giving our kids permission to pursue that curiosity, we really are helping them become who they were meant to be.
I love that. In the preface, you share a relatable story about clipping your adopted son's nails for the first time. And I just wanted to know why you picked that for the start and just for specifically a child development book and with a story about feeling incompetent, just why starting it with that.
Because I think that's how most moms feel a lot of the time. We feel incompetent. We're like, what the heck are we doing? And while I didn't take my first baby home from the hospital, I still think we all look at motherhood the same. You see this being that you're responsible for. And for me, he was already almost 9 months old, so his nails needed clipping immediately. And I thought, oh crap, I don't know how to do this. I'm going to cut his finger off. And I think just to give moms that relatability moment of saying, oh, wait, here's a lady who's a child development specialist and she's still nervous about being a mom. So if she's nervous, I must be okay for being nervous. So I just kind of wanted to level the playing field and say, Okay, yes, I have all these years of research in my toolbox and experience, but yet as a new mom, I was still terrified of some of those simple tasks like cutting his nails. I mean, I
Totally.
couldn't do it. I had to call a friend, as I say in the book. I had to call a friend and have her come over and cut his nails because I was so scared. I
Yeah.
eventually gained confidence and started biting them off. I mean, cutting them.
I mean, that's scary. I think about my niece. I'm like, I wouldn't wanna be given nail clippers. Like, I'm not comfortable with
Right.
that, you know? There's things I think even seeing my sister become a mother that she's still, like, afraid of, you know? And I love that you're being vulnerable and just open to being honest and humble.
Well, I just feel like parents don't need another book from a know it all to tell them how to do
Yeah.
it. We
Yeah.
need a book saying, I'm in the trenches with you. I've struggled with you and I came out on the other side. My kids are now grown and healthy and happy.
Yeah.
And maybe here are some tips on how that can happen for you too. For me, that's a more powerful, relatable book.
That's great. So, with this intense cultural pressure right now, just to start formal academics earlier than ever, why do you believe pushing flashcards and rigid schedules onto just toddlers is actually a mistake?
So it's a mistake because it's harmful to the brain. Not only is it a time waster, it truly can do damage. If the brain does not form the synapses needed for later learning through play, the brain will forever struggle to work around that learning. So if you force flashcards and you force memorization on young children before they've had the concrete experiences, that foundation is likely to crumble at some point. The play is a foundation. I mean, it's like any house. You gotta have a strong foundation. I remember one time my sister, they built a house and my gosh, it was so stunning. And a
Mhm.
few years later, their daughter was playing in the room and her entire closet fell.
My
Yes.
gosh.
Whoever built the house built a beautiful house up here, but the foundation sucked
Yeah.
and the house crumbled. That's our children. If we don't take the time to let them play, if we don't take the time to do that, we're not
Mhm.
gonna build the foundation necessary, and flashcards and drilling will never build the foundation. That is skipping the major step, and we will see the results look like anxiety later. We will see the
Mm.
results look like social emotional struggles later. We will see the results even in struggling in math and science later, executive function later. All of
Mm.
those foundations are built through open-ended play.
That's great. I think even to, like, being homeschooled, having to do our own schedules. Being in college now, I see girls that are just like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how to plan my schedule. I don't know how to do this." I'm like, maybe because I was a little bit, like, independent in that as, like, being in homeschool, I feel so much more confident in my time management skills in that, you know?
I love that, and I see that too with my kids. I see them in college now figuring it out faster than their peers,
Mhm.
and I think it is because you were given the opportunity to figure it out from the
Yeah,
get-go, and I think if you have that
definitely.
mindset from day 1 of letting kids not struggle in a sense that causes frustration, but just try again and just sit with the issue and let them figure it out, we're gonna have more resilient adults, and I see that in you. It's so
Right.
beneficial later in life. Does make
I
you much
agree.
more independent for sure.
I agree. So you describe a child's brain during the first 3 years as a full body workout. And
Yeah.
can you just describe when they're exposed to music and play, how, like, what is happening neurologically when a young child is just exploring?
Yeah. It is kind of amazing when you study the brain and you realize that music works, not only are they hearing it auditorily, but they're using their fine motor skills and they're having to use critical thinking skills as they're processing the music and as they're playing and trying to figure out what am I going to play next. That is really developing that prefrontal cortex when they get all
Mhm.
emotion because they have big emotions and they're having to deal with those big emotions and you help them work through that emotion. Then it's a social emotional and that works the limbic system part of the brain, the downstairs part of the brain. So in play and with music, every part of the brain is touched. Whereas if you were to give a child a worksheet, very little of the brain is touched. There have been so many studies on how little the brain is impacted when a child is touching a worksheet or a device. But when they are using all five senses, every part of the brain is impacted and growing. It's so fascinating to me. And if a parent looks at the research, I don't know how they end up on the other side of play. I just don't know how it's possible because it so
Mhm.
supports not only childhood of joy and happiness, but truly of brain development. It is the thing that's going to get the brain where it needs to be for abstract learning in those later years.
Wow, I did not even know that. That definitely is something that needs to be talked about more in general.
Shouted from the
That's insane.
rooftops. That's what I want to do, Ava.
Yeah,
Shout it from the
I know.
rooftop.
I love that. So, you write about transitioning from a manager to observer in your children's play. What or how does a parent shift their mindset to step
Yeah,
back
I
and
think
just let that happen?
so. I think it's hard because I think as parents, we feel if we're not in it, if we're not in that play, if we're not sitting down with them, then maybe they're not getting what they need. But
Yeah.
often because we are so black and white as adults, we interrupt the play. And that's why I say, we should go from teacher to facilitator. And that's where you're setting up open invitations to play and then letting them discover it. And then you're going a step further to observer. Because if you're not observing your children in play, it is hard to know what's going on with your child. If you watch your child, let's just use an example, and you see a child, a toddler, who is biting around 11 o'clock every day, you notice because you've been observing that, gosh, around 11 o'clock, they are losing it and they're biting. And you think, what could that be? What could cause a child at 11 o'clock in the morning to consistently bite? A couple of things. They're frustrated, something's frustrating them. Or maybe it's as simple as they're hungry because that's an oral release. And maybe that child actually needs to eat earlier than 12. Maybe they need to eat at 11. And if you
That's
didn't
good.
take the time to observe that, you wouldn't know it. Or if you see a child who you're trying to get them to do, like go outside, and they don't want to go
Mhm.
outside. And then you start thinking, why would my child not want to go outside? Well, maybe you didn't notice, but they're allergic to mosquitoes and mosquitoes are biting them and they're getting bumps all over and they hate that. And they can't say that as a young toddler, but you notice when they come in, they're eaten up. If you're here in the South, like we are, and maybe
Mhm.
you notice, oh, that's why. And so you can fix it. But if you don't observe things, you can't really help them be better. So that's why observation is so important. And in play, you get to learn. It's the first peek into what your children are interested in. What did you like to do, Ava? Your first memory of playing, what did you like to play with?
I was just walking around outside singing out loud.
I love that so much. And
That was all
Ava,
I did.
what do you still like to do?
The same exact thing, really.
The same exact thing. That's right.
Mhm.
So if a parent is observing a child when they're young, it's their first peek into that. Right? I see
That's
it so
great.
much. I say so much with Henry too, just because he's one of the youngest that's still in school. But
Mhm.
that boy has loved sports as long as you've known him, hasn't he? I mean, talked about sports, obsessed about sports. And so we notice that. And so we could encourage that in those early years. And here he is now living out his dream as a manager of a sports team.
Yeah,
So we learn. We learn from watching our children. Instead of jumping into their play, sit back and watch their play, and you'll learn so much about your kids.
that's great, and I think too, like, some might think that's the harder way, but that's definitely the easier way to go about it, you know?
Well, it is harder in some ways because I think it's not what culturally is expected. And
Yeah.
so, but you're right. It is easier to let children play. Now, kids are going to invite you in sometimes. And so if your child says, "Mommy, come play with me," I don't want you to go, "Nope, Kathy said I have to observe you." You get in there or maybe even say, "I don't like playing with my kids." There's lots of parents. I don't like playing with my kids all the time. But what's great about that is if you go in and you just let your kid boss you around, you don't have to choose the play. Let them still
Mhm.
be in charge. Like if they want to play baby dolls, you go
Yeah.
sit down and you just say, "Where's my baby doll?" And then they'll give
Mhm.
you a doll and you go, "No, what's going on with my baby doll?" And they'll be like, "She's crying. What should I
Mhm.
do?" And they'll pat. They'll walk you through how to play.
Totally,
So, really,
totally.
even when you are playing with your kids, you are the follower. You let your child lead the play because they're the ones who are working on the brains. Your brain's developed, so let them lead the play and they will lead it. And you don't have to play all day. 10, 15 minutes at a time is really, if it's intentional, that is great work. You don't have to play for hours with your children. They're going to learn more by you setting up invitations and letting them play.
That's great. So now talking about tantrums, I know that many parents feel like they're failing when their toddler is having a meltdown, but I want you to describe a little bit about what's actually happening to their brain during a meltdown and why trying to use logic or reasoning is really just useless in those moments.
Yeah, it's so interesting with tantrums. It's the brain, we call it the upstairs and downstairs brain in child development. And the downstairs brain is that limbic system. That's that fight or flight response. That's that, emotional bank, right? And that develops first in children. And then the upstairs brain is the logical brain. So here's the problem. The stairs, most of the time at this age, there's not even stairs to get from one to the other. So when they're in this emotional state, having a tantrum or a meltdown, they can't even reach their upstairs brain to get logical. They can't even understand what is happening. Their upstairs brain has gone offline. Just think of it that way. Well, the minute you see a meltdown, the first thing you should go is, all right, well, there goes all logic. It's gone. So anything you say to them, you need to calm down right now. I told you to do this. They're not even listening. They can't because their downstairs brain is running away with emotion. So,
Mhm.
what we need to do instead is you need to lean in. You be their calm. You
Good.
being their calm, that's called co regulation. So, if then you lose it, because let's be honest, sometimes we do when our kids lose
Mhm.
it, we lose it. Well, then we're not going to get anywhere. But if
That's
you can
good.
then use your own coping skills like deep breaths, or even if you have to step out for a second and calm yourself and then come back in, and then you be their calm and say, I see you're upset. Those are some big feelings. Do we need to punch a pillow? Or I see you're upset. Do you need a hug? I see. They're going to
Yeah,
go, no. And that's okay. That's building autonomy to tell you no. That's actually powerful for a kid.
that's
Then you
great.
can say, would a sip of water help? Maybe we go outside. So your
That's good.
goal in those moments is really just to lend them your calm. And once the calm has happened, then you can go back and say, wow, I saw that really got you upset when your sister took your toy. How can I help you? Or, man, you were really upset because you wanted the blue cup and your sister took the blue cup. Is there another cup I can get for you? So you can go back to the moment. But in those times, there isn't a lecture, a logic that's going to make any sense. You're just going to make it worse. My favorite thing I've ever done is one day I went to Target and I decided I saw a kid melting down. The mom was losing it. So I went to Starbucks and I bought a bunch of gift cards. And I walked
Mhm.
around Target, and anytime a kid started melting down, I offered the mom a Starbucks card. And I just said, hey,
That's
can I
great.
give you this? Because I've been there and this is hard, but you're going to get through it. Because tantrums are
That's
hard. They're
good.
embarrassing. And tantrums and meltdowns are two different things, by the way. A tantrum is a kid not getting what they want. That's a tantrum, not what they want. A meltdown is usually caused by overstimulation or overexhaustion.
Mm,
So they look different. I mean, they don't look different. They both look like freakouts, but they are different. But in the moment, you don't need to be going, I wonder if this is a meltdown or a tantrum. In the moment, we need to calm them. And once we
right.
calm them, then we can kind of observe and think, what led to that? That goes back to why the observation's important. What
Yeah.
led to that? Maybe going to our friend's house and staying out till 10 a.m. wasn't a great idea because our kid is overtired, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it's good. It's like thinking, okay, if I was having a meltdown, what would I need in this moment? Like, I would need calm too, like same
Yes.
way.
That's right, Ava. We forget that when we're in a meltdown, nobody telling us to calm down. I think of Sarah
Yeah.
Lee, right? Sarah Lee, you tell Sarah
Yeah.
Lee to calm down, she's going to knock your head off. And that's all of us, right? Nobody wants to be told to calm down when they can't calm down. Yeah,
Right. Right.
perfect.
So, in the book, you discuss theory of mind and how it relates to sharing. Why does forcing a 2-year-old to share often backfire? And what do you think parents should do instead?
So here's the thing with sharing. Children don't understand sharing. Their brain cannot even understand that concept yet. They are still very much in the egocentric part of their brain, and they don't develop empathy, which is the very thing they need to share, till around three
Mm,
years of age. So if you are asking any child under 3 to share their favorite toy, you really are doing a disservice to them because they can't, you might as well be speaking a different language to them because they don't understand that. So instead, let's say it's a favorite toy. Hopefully, it didn't cost a lot of money. Buy 2 of them. Now, you can't go buy
mm,
2 of every toy, but you could buy 2 of some of the favorites and have a couple there. But also, this is when redirection is lovely. If you have two siblings fighting over a toy and this child does not understand sharing, they don't want to share, then what you would say is, say it's Sarah and Henry. Henry's got the toy. Then I'm going to say, Sarah, Henry is still going to play with that toy for a few more minutes. Maybe it's a train. That's a great train. But you know what else I have over here? I've got a great book about trains, and I know you love this book. How about you and mom go read this book about trains while Henry's finishing playing with the train?
That's
Very
good.
few children will turn that down because they love the idea of connection. So if you're going to
Mhm.
sit down and read that train, now some will, some be like, I don't want to read about the train.
Mm.
And then it is okay to say, hey, Sarah, then ask Henry, Henry, are you almost done with the train? And Henry might say yes. And he might
Yeah.
just be done with the train. And then you can say, hey, Sarah, wow, look how happy that made you. Henry, look how happy it made Sarah when you shared that train. You can still use the word share, but knowing
Mm.
that 2-year-old probably doesn't understand that. But you're setting the stage of empathy. You're getting them ready. You're introducing empathy in a concrete way. But your
That's good.
expectation is still that it's okay. They don't understand it. It is a goal for 3, 3.5. But at 2, it's unrealistic to expect that for the brain.
Yeah, I love remembering y'all are speaking a different language. They're not understanding that language yet, that especially under 3, you can't force that, and that's just gonna add on to more confusion if you do, but
Confusion, frustration. It makes me think of the time I remember when Grace was obsessed with Japanese. And so, well,
Mhm,
she's been forever, right? So one day she decided to write all these words in Japanese on sticky notes and she stuck them all
mhm,
over our house. And I remember walking and seeing all these different sticky notes in a different language. And she's like, and that means that. And I'm like, oh, hold on, girl. This is overwhelming. I don't understand this. And this is frustrating, to be honest. It's
yeah,
exact to do something that developmentally their brain does not understand. They're going to be frustrated. They're going
yeah,
to be anxious and nervous and overwhelmed. So that's what it
mhm,
does remind me of.
totally. You advocate for creating a yes space in the home. What is a yes space, and can you share a little bit about how that can really protect child's development and even just a mother's sanity?
Yeah, because here's the thing. We all have different personalities as mother. I'm a free spirit. If anybody's around me, you know I'm a free spirit. However, what people don't know is I don't like my whole house to be messy. I like a clean
Mhm,
house. And so then I have to figure out, okay, how do I do that? How do I have a lot of children and have a clean house? Well, then you have yes spaces. It's okay to have spaces that aren't for play or aren't for messy. I'm not saying turn your whole house into like a rice bin and let them go at it.
right.
I'm saying have spaces in your home to make it easy to say yes. The way that I did that, we had a big front porch when the kids were little. I took an old armoire out there and I put lots of sensory and paint out there in that cabinet. And I had a table set up and an easel set up and it was on the porch. So almost year round they could use it. So anytime
Mhm,
somebody wanted a sensory, it was easy for me to go get it. The materials were handy and the
mhm,
kids could always have some sensory or art processes going. Inside my house, I had spaces, my floors that weren't full of beautiful rugs, and they were just pine floors. So the kids could get messy. They could build, they could do things. I had a cozy area where if someone was having a tantrum or a meltdown, they could go have some time away. These are all yes spaces. Additionally, kids need things on their level. Even now, I don't have kids here full time. The kids are all grown, but we've just moved to Birmingham, and I have two little twin boys across the street, Ava. They
mhm,
are already my heart. Well, what do you think I did? I made sure when I was setting up my kitchen, I set up plates on their level, cups on their level, and I even went and got dye-free snacks for their mom to put at their level. And when the grandkids come too, they have it. It's important to put things on kids' level because we need to give kids power. When they're little, kids, that power builds confidence and independence, as you were talking about earlier. That doesn't
mhm,
start when a kid is a teenager. You've got to start when they're really young. And these yes spaces does that. They build that independence. They build that confidence. So that's why you need a yes space for your children. And it protects your sanity because they know this is where they can get messy. And you know this is where they can get messy. And maybe your bedroom's a safe zone that's not a messy space. That's your little place that you're protected for you. And that's okay
right.
too. You don't have to have every space as a yes space. but do have some
Totally.
spaces.
That's great. And keeping it just the space is really just setting that boundary for you and like I would say teaching them partially what boundaries are to themselves, you know?
A
That's great.
100% boundaries are key for children. They need routine and they need boundaries. Yeah. If not, we're doing permissive parenting.
So you have a wonderful philosophy of playful practicality when it comes to teaching household responsibilities. And I was wondering if you could just share a concept or a story about that concept.
Yeah, I think the easiest when we think of cleanup, maybe being playful in that. Listen, if I'm being honest, Ava, I think being playful in every area of parenting is your secret weapon. We
Mhm.
take parenting so seriously. And honestly, if we could be lighthearted about most things, it would all go smoother. But we're so like, first time obedience because that's what Jesus would do. That is not. Nowhere does Jesus say children need to obey the first time. That is not developmentally
Right.
appropriate. That's not respecting children. And that's not even respecting the adults because it's not respecting the children. So
Yeah.
we need to understand what brain research says and then make it practical. And then, of course, we can do that through, let's say, a cleanup song. Make it up. You don't, I mean, you sing the Barney song if you want clean up, clean up. Or you can make up a song. Like my kids get so sick of my songs. Ava, do you remember any of the songs? I don't know. I make up songs about
I do.
everything. You make up songs about everything? I
Yeah.
love it. So I'm always like, just this weekend, the grandbabies were here and we were at a pool. And so
Mhm.
I would teach my kids going kick, kick, and paddle, kick, kick, and paddle. And then I noticed, ooh, I really should teach them scooping because that's better. So I was like, kick, and scoop, kick, and scoop. And they were doing it. They're following right along. So that's playful practicality. We want to teach them to kick. We want to teach them to scoop their hands, but you don't have to do it. So mama said, kick. Kick those legs so you can swim. Right? See the
Yeah.
difference? Clean up that toy.
Totally.
Pick up that toy right now instead of going, let's see if the sloth can pick up the toy. Pick up
Right.
the toy like a sloth. That's so much more interesting for a child. And you're not going to get the kickback. Or you could be, quick. I'm like a quick, whatever, a road runner. I'm going to get the toy first. That playful mindset.
I think you've instilled that, like, in me, like, with my niece. I'm over here doing we do the cleanup song all the time, but ABC, like, everything, like, has to be a song, like, in my eyes. I
Yes.
think it makes it more fun and enjoyable, and it's something they're also gonna, I guess, scratch that, like, memory muscle in their brain too, because 'cause they're like they resonate it with me. I've seen my niece, like, fully resonate things when she picks them up because she's like, "Do the song." Like, we have the song, you know?
Yes.
And that's
You are
stimulating,
so right. I'm
you
so
know?
glad you said that. It isn't just about fun. It really does work that muscle memory and it builds that part of the brain that is going to help them later in math. Music is
Mm,
so related to math. So seeing everything, that rhythm, that, they're having to think about counts, all that, but also it builds connection. That's the other thing. You just said it. She thinks about you with that song because songs and stories, they build so much connection. And that starts this early. Like, how old is your niece? A year and a half or something?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
barely.
And so look how early she's already recognizing that. So it's not too early to start being intentional about connection and about play. So I love that you're doing that. Well done, Eva.
Thank you. Going off of rhythm, you also have a fantastic story about teaching physical coordinates on a swing set using rhythm of out and under. And how does turning physical milestones into those silly games almost help a child learn better than traditional instruction?
Yeah, that's just a story I tell in the book about teaching my kids to swing. I mean, something as simple as swinging, that is a developmental milestone, but we make it again such a big deal. I need my kids to pump. How do I get them to pump their legs so I don't have to swing them anymore? Guess what I
Mhm.
did? We did a song. I did a song
Right.
called Out and Under. I went out and under, out and under, out and under, and they would pump their legs out and
Right.
under, out. I mean, silliness, silly. Exactly. We're gonna all sing it. Come on. No, we won't.
I know.
But,
It's gonna be
it's
stuck in my head
just,
later.
I know, good. Do it with your niece. But the point
Mhm.
is, we take things like developmental milestones and there's such a judgment, right? Did you know my little blah, 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 potty trained herself by two? Or
Yeah.
so and so knows the alphabet already. Show them your alphabet. Like you can say it. It's a judgment on us as parenting if our kid performs, you know?
I know.
Every kid is different. Some kids potty train at 2, some potty train at 4. Very few go to college not potty trained. Who really cares? But
Yeah.
we make these milestones such a big issue for us of bragging, of judging. And
Mm,
really, we should just honor children and let them develop when they're supposed to develop. So much of it's genetics and environment. But, we need to be lighthearted about it all because every child develops differently and we shouldn't compare.
that's good. That's a very good reminder. For the parent that is listening right now, just feeling completely lost, what would you say the single most important message of grace for them to take away would be from Before Big?
2 things, actually, not just one. Number 1, there's no perfect parent.
Mm,
Doesn't exist. We all are a hot mess on different days, trying to do our best. Number 2, take care of yourself. If you are not taking care of yourself, you are not going to be what you need to be for your children. What does taking care of yourself look like for you? Remember what you loved before you became a mom. Did you love painting? Did you love singing? Did you love running? And do those things now. I think often we get so caught up in motherhood that we forget everything else. We do it well-meaningly. Then we wake up in our 40s and we're like, what the heck happened? Who is this lady in the mirror? I don't think that was ever the intention. You've
mm,
got to take care of you too.
that's
And
good.
remember that we're just all trying to do our best for our children, but you need to do what's best for you too. You matter too, as my friend Carrie Vosick says. You matter too.
That's great. That's really good. Your book is officially launching, and where can our listeners go to pre-order their copy of Before Big?
Look at that book. Is she not the cutest?
So good.
So pleased. Before Big, you can get her on my website, kathyeggers.com. I think it's out on Amazon. If not, it will be in the next day or two. You can even buy it on the TikTok shop. I mean, you can get it anywhere. So Walmart should be carrying it. All the major retailers should be having it very soon. It might take a week or two to get them on their site. We actually just finished recording the audio book, so that should be out soon as well, that you could, if you're more of a listen to the book kind of person, like I am, honestly. I am reading it, so you get to hear me talk word for word what the book is about. That will be out in the next week or two also. So it will be everywhere Before Big. It is written, let me just say, yes, with homeschool parents in mind, but it really is a book for every young parent. It is something that is beneficial, and it's like a warm hug, I hope. It is meant to encourage, inspire, and let you know that there are other men and women in the trenches just like you. So
That's
kathyeggers.com
good.
or all the major retailers soon.
I know so many parents are going to benefit from it. Even just thinking back to growing up with Sarah, like your daughter, just being in the kitchen, just little moments I can even still look back to on all the little lessons within just the way you spoke to us. Like we weren't just children, like all those little things are still with me. And I know that this book is going to do the same for many, many people.
Ava, you're going to make me cry. I know I miss those days.
I do
We
too.
tell parents all the time it goes so fast. And then I started crying when I recorded the audiobook, the last chapter, and I'm talking about when your kids are teenagers, I start crying in the audiobook and I left it in because I thought, you know what? I
Good.
want even moms to hear that I get teary, and it is emotional that y'all are grown up. Like I just look at you now, this grown woman, and I'm so proud of you and I'm so excited for your future. And I'm so grateful that I got to be a small part of your childhood, but it's sad. I miss those
I know.
days.
Me too. Me too.
Well, thanks for being a great host, Ava. This was so
Thank
fun.
you.
And I think
Thank you so
everyone will fall
much.
in love with you. Hey, where can they go follow you, Ava? Do you want people to follow you too?
Sure. Y'all can follow me on Instagram at Ava Davis 16 or TikTok Ava Davis 166.
Perfect. All right, Ava. Thank you so much for letting me talk
Thank
about
you.
Before Big with you. Thank you so much for listening to the Play Skillfully podcast. Don't forget to follow us on your favorite listening platform. Check out our products at kathyeggers.com. And if you want to save 10% on your first order, put in the code PS podcast at checkout. And lastly, find a way to say yes today.